lives. And I'm going to tell you a little bit of my story, and I hope it will inspire you with where you are. So I moved completely out of my farming area for a year. Came back October last year, decided to start my own company with a business partner, which was not something that I ever wanted to do, because selling property and running a company are two different things. But Henny and I, he's from Big Pond, he flips properties. We've been working together for a while. I like what he does, and I said, great, let's do this. Listed a property, sold it, quick, happy, woo, this is easy. I know how to do this. Then came November, and didn't have my momentum. December is not a strong listing month, it's a strong sales month, but I've got no listings. Then came January, school has to first start before everyone gets going. Then I fell sick for 2 weeks. So now I've had already 2 months of no sales. And we can have reasons or results, we can't have both, because life always happens. There's always school and this and that and that. And I sat down and I started lead generating every single day consistently. And I didn't overcomplicate it. I sit down, I make a little line for every person that I speak to. February, March, no sales. Now I'm 4 months in, okay? And we know if we sell now, we still wait 3 months for the money. So my business partner called me in, and I will never forget it because it was such a cool moment of realization. He drew this little mountain with 2 little stick men with this massive boulder. He said, Maryke, we're pushing this boulder over this mountain, and I know it's really hard now, but as soon as we get to the top and then momentum kicks in, we're going to be chasing business. And I looked at him and I smiled and I said, Henny, are you worried about me? And he said, yes, I can see you stressed out. I said, thank you, I appreciate it, but if there's one thing I know in this business is you cannot consistently show up every day and do your stuff and not get the results. So you get despondent, you get frustrated, you hit that ceiling, you lead generate, and it's just not happening, but you keep going, and then it breaks. And in April, I did 8 sales. I don't think I've ever sold 8 properties in 1 month. And then what happens? You get all the admin from the sales, and I booked a holiday, and May, on holiday, my phone got stolen, so my whole system, everything, I didn't have my calendar, everything was chaos. But life is chaos. Reasons or results, you just keep going, but now admin, transactions, I completely lost that momentum. So May, June, consistently lead generating. July, beautiful sale happens where we have something that we sell here, we're selling something else to these sellers, and we're selling something here. 3 deals in the pipeline. Woo! And then what happens? The seller changed their mind and they withdraw from the market. So you go from, yay, yay, Well, I'm in shared office space, and the one colleague at the logistics company laughs at me. He says, you're so hilarious because you come in and you complain and everything has gone wrong, and then you turn around and you're like, yes, I love my job. And then all these things go wrong and you lose 150,000 Rand overnight and you go, yes, I love my job. Because to me, it comes down to mindset. There's always challenges. There's always chaos. Your phone's going to get stolen. You're going to get sick. Your kids are going to... These things happen, but you need to push through it and keep that consistency. And it's not always easy, but the more you get into that habit, the better. And what did I do when the consistency wasn't there? I chatted to my friend that also comes from Keller Williams. And the funny thing is, he says, Maryke, what did we learn at Keller Williams? Even if you down here in your path, the principles that you learn always still apply. It is such a great groundwork for what really works. And he messaged me every day. Well, I messaged him and he said, now I'm your accountability partner. I know what you can do. This is not fine. Let's just get the consistency back up. So I message him every day. How many calls did I make? How many clients did I see? He never had to ask me anything else because he knew, I know, at the end of the week, I ask myself, what worked? What didn't work? How do you feel about that? And to this day, I think that reflection is so important to keep the numbers up. And it's not also just, I hired an agent now and I see with her, It's not just about the numbers and hitting the numbers every day. It's about the habit of remembering to be purposeful every day. I cut out gluten for a while a year ago. And the most difficult thing was, I said to Anshu, and then I go to training, and when we're in a break, you dish a few things, and the next thing you put a pie in your mouth. And I'm like, oh, why am I eating this? It's just that, I don't know what the English word is, ingesteldheid, to remember and to get into that habit. So consistency is the one key thing that I think, show up, do your best, the rest is not up to you. We don't control the reaction of the world. I can't control people's emotions and deals not working out, but I can control how I show up. And that being said, like, let's not lie, it's simple, but it's not easy. It's not always easy to be consistent. It's not always easy to replace when all these things are happening. So get a few things for yourself where I believe in, like, I've hacked my mind. Your mind, my kids know, they mustn't say anything bad to themselves because your brain believes everything you tell it. And it's powerful. We think these are just little things, but it's so powerful. I get up in the morning, have a little JBL, I put it in the shower, and I have a shower song, and we will listen to it until we never want to hear it again. But at the moment, it's the best day of your life. I can't even remember the bad. But you get up, and you play that song, and I dance in the shower while I'm getting dressed. And by the time I'm walking out of my front door, I feel amazing. I feel like going to the office. I feel like, who am I going to help today? Who is out there that I need to find whose property I can sell? So find those little hacks. And if you have a bad day, like, play your shower song. Get yourself out of that and hack your brain. So second thing I call it my shower song. But I'll send you the song. It's the best day of my life. It's such an on top of the world song. And then the next thing I want to say is that I think lead generation, cold calling doesn't work. And I think we get stuck just on cold call. Do you all have a farming area? You have a specific farming area, okay? Tell me how many properties in your farming area. Do you know? Tell me if you know how many properties you have in your farming area. Not listings, how many properties in total in your farming area? You see. And then how many sales in your farming area per annum? So, before you start calling, know that, because as soon as I get a listing appointment is a job interview. What do you do before you go to a job interview? You prepare. In my farming area, I've got 6,000 properties. I've got an average of 300 sales per annum. There's an average of 70 to 100 listings that come into the market per month. My average listing price is 1.8 on a full title. On a sectional title, it's about 1.2, 1.3. My difference between listing price and sales price in 2020 to 2023 was 116,000. My difference between listing and sales price in 2024 was 280,000. This year, that has gone up to a difference between listing and sales price of 380,000. So there's a very big tendency of a much more drastic overpricing in the area. There's lots of businesses, upgrading Hushfontein Road. So there's a lot of things you can attribute it to. And then last year this time, I had 210 listings on average in the market in my area at any given time. This year it's gone down to 175. Half the amount of full titles are in the market. Mr. Seller, would you like to list with me? Because these are the statistics I know. I know how to position your property in the market. You are waiting for summer, but winter is showing you that there's way less competition and I'm much more likely to fetch you a higher price than if you wait until spring comes. Are you going to hire me? Guys, would you hire me? This is the kind of, and this is just P24 stats. This is just me deep diving into Property 24. And this is what you must know before you start lead generating, because the knowledge is power. I must walk in and impress my sellers. And I can't lead generate effectively if someone asks me, how's the market? No, it's quiet. The interest rate just went down, so we were excited. You must give the kind of answer that is going to impress their socks off. And no one does this, guys. I am yet to walk into a training session where there's an agent that can actually tell me what the market looks like in their farming area. So sit down, go look at that, go do a deep dive. I know 50% of my sellers are over 50 because people stay in my farming area for an average of 11 plus years. There's a lot of good schools, so they usually get their kids through school. Know these things so that you can empower yourself to get the listing. You don't want to just list and leave. You want to be the person that gets the exclusive mandate, and you get that by empowering yourself with this knowledge. So let's quickly get back to cold calling doesn't work. And I keep seeing this because people go into an area and they cold call and they move on. And they cold call and they move on. 6,000 properties at 30 calls a day. How long does it take me to get through my farming area? A long time. It takes 8 to 12 calls to speak to someone. It takes 100 people that you speak to get 1 to 2 leads. That is on cold calling. As soon as you move your cold calling to follow-ups, then your conversions become better. And why don't we do that? Because we're bad with admin and we don't use our CRMs. So make it part of your consistency, just as important as it is to make the calls. If you're not putting that calls into your CRM and doing the follow-ups, you're wasting your time. You think you're working, but you're consistently throwing all this energy into something that's going to take you so long and that doesn't have a high hit rate. So get those conversions up. And you also do that by knowing your numbers. You know the 4 conversations. If you can tell me how many calls you make, you can tell me how many listings that you get, you can tell me how many sales you're doing, then your team leader can help you where you need to adjust. So keep book of your numbers, and it doesn't have to be complicated. It can be a note in your diary. It can be this great apps that just keeps track of the numbers. But the more you know what's going on in your market and in your business, the better you know where to position yourself. I went on holiday this year in May, and then I realized it was the strongest listing month in my farming area. 100 listings, like, I will not go on holiday again next year in May because I'm missing out on a big part of the market. It also tells me if there's 70 to 100 listings coming into the market a month, that it's very easy for me to get a 10% listing market share because there's 7 to 10 listings there. If there's 300 sales, I know there's 2.5 sales for me in the area. And if you don't know this, you're going to walk into a farming area where you didn't go and have a look at these statistics. Now you're trying to sell 4 properties in a month, but there's a total sales of 100 a year. You're going to work so hard and you're going to get despondent because the target you're trying to achieve is not that achievable in your farming area. So apart from being consistent, be consistent in your farming area. I'm a firm believer in being the area expert. And by that, I'm not saying don't list everywhere. My 8 sales that I did a lot were referrals, and you get going and you kind of take everything everywhere. But I was driving from Eladus Park to die Wilgers to Wapatrand, die Wilgers to Hatfield. April was crazy. I had my kids in the car. It was a restaurant. It was a hotel. It was an octagon. It was crayons and food. And I said to them, listen, guys, I need you in my corner. So when you're there and you have to do that initial, my mom always said it's like an airplane. You need to get it off the ground, but once it's in the air, it becomes easier. But when you're getting that airplane off the ground, recruit your family. Make them part of it. They must know. My kids know. Where do you want to go on holiday? This is how many houses we need to sell. If they get frustrated with something, then I say, okay, well, if we don't do this, we're not going to have the money for that. Let them understand and buy into it so they also understand when you have to work on a Saturday. So to get back to the cold calling, so cold call, but focus on the follow-ups. Ask everyone, can I phone you in 3 or 6 months? I think that is one of my, we know the other basics of cold calling. We want the email, we want them in our CRM. For me, it's added, when can I phone you again? Then I know, must I follow them up in 3 months, 6 months, a year, and then be very consistent with your CRM. And I know that is the challenging part, but the more consistent you are with that database, the better it's going to work out in the end. I want to get my phone is charging because I just want to read something quickly to you. My farming area is Garsfontein. My farming area is Garsfontein. It has been for quite a while. I also live there. And it's lovely when you work and live in your farming area because I go walk in my dog in the afternoon and I go walk in the busy street. So my clients phone me, hey Maryke, I just saw you in Serena Street with your golden retriever. So I'm not lead generating, but what am I doing? I'm staying on top of mind. So there's a lot of different ways that you can stay on top of mind, being visible. And if you have a bad day and you don't feel like calling 20 people, I have those days. Then I phone my have-mates and I have conversations with them instead of doing cold calls. Or I sit down and I WhatsApp 100 people. And at the moment, last week I lost a few days and I think I gave training one day. So this week I'm catching up. So I'm WhatsApping 200 people a day. Because I know if I don't do that, that money is going to show up in my bank account or not going to show up in my bank account in 3 months. And it's crazy, guys. We've got August and September. Then we start working for next year. 2 months. So we have to list and sell really hard now because our cycle looks different. We've got a 10-month year and we have to... Yeah. No, February is great for listing. Everyone goes on holiday, they come back, they want to immigrate, divorce. You know, people make these decisions on holiday. Did you know that the highest traffic month on Property 24 is December? Because people are relaxed, they're on holiday, and they're looking at property, starting to think, you know, what changes am I going to make in my life this year? So it's a very important month to have stock. Hey? December, if I have stock in December, it's my best month. The agents go on holiday, the buyers that are around are serious, and you can really sell best months in December. So I follow a guy on Instagram. I think it's the WGR. I'm a firm believer in, guys, I don't have a TV. And I realize now again why I don't have a TV, because I've watched 2 series this year. The one was short, and I had a tummy bug 2 or 3 weeks ago, and someone said to me, watch this series, which ended up being 3 seasons. So then what happens? You get so stuck in it, because I have a device, although I don't have a TV, but then you get so stuck in it that you end up going to bed late and completely living yourself into this. And I just realized this is not what I want to do. I'm all for downtime, okay, and doing something that switches your brain off. But I get so much more from rather reading in the evening or watching that stimulates you. And I'm on social media a lot, but I'm purposeful on social media. I follow the real estate gurus, follow the people you learn scripts from. Be very mindful of what you consume, because that 100% carries over into your mindset. So this guy is called, before I go to this, I also just want to add that remember that there's always a market. There's always a market. I was just telling Darby, my mom was a top realtor in Centurion when the interest rate was 21, 23%. Why? She had 2 kids, no support, and she had no choice. She had no choice. So the market is always going to be there, and you're always going to have these reasons. It's slow, it's this, it's that, the interest rate, the last year May, it was the election. You will find a reason to justify not being consistent, because that is all it is. The reasons in the market is always there. The consistency will always work. So I want to leave you with, he had a list of top things realtors do, and I'll send you the Instagram link if you want to go follow him. He really shares a lot of very, very useful information. Top things top realtors don't do. So number 1, they don't get out of bed late. They're up early, running their morning like a CEO, not hitting snooze like a broke dreamer. Maryke, I struggle to get up early. Maryke, I like to snooze. It's cold. I know. I get up at 4 in the winter, maybe between 4 and 5. And it's not something I necessarily always like doing, but it's something I taught myself, especially in this industry, because what happens between 4 and 6? My phone doesn't ring. No one interrupts me, and I can actually get so much done. And don't try and do everything at once. Don't wake up tomorrow morning and go, I'm going to be consistent with my lead gen and stop smoking and start gymming and get up at 4. Do one thing at a time. Get up 15 minutes earlier every day for a week. And then next week, another 15 minutes earlier until you create that habit, because if you do that and you make it achievable, then it's going to be achievable and sustainable in the long term. One thing at a time, make it a habit, and then take on something else. But the morning thing, I think, really works. Anshin laughed at me because I told her with a brain hack, if I maybe go out tonight and we add a braai or something, all my friends know. They must never go, ooh, it's already 11 o'clock, it's a school night. Don't tell me the time at night. If you don't tell me what time I went to bed, I don't know how tired I need to be tomorrow. If I think I went to bed at 9, then I'm not tired that tired tomorrow. And we feed ourselves this. 2 nights ago, my dog was sick and I had to keep opening the door for him. So I was awake from 2 o'clock. And I realized the next day at work, I made a conscious decision, because we go to work and we're like, oh, I had no sleep. I only went to bed at 2. You keep telling yourself that. And I didn't give it any attention. I was like, I went to bed early. I had enough sleep. It's fine. 3 o'clock, I had this like a big yawn. And I was like, oh yeah, it's probably because I didn't have a lot of sleep last night. Let's have a cup of coffee and go on. The more you feed those things, and we don't realize, we feed them and then we believe them. And then you have a slow day because you're telling your mind that is what it's supposed to be. Who gets up early? Wow, well done. Okay, so you agree with it. It's not always easy.
So everything that you said, in fact, when I went to invited me to beginning of about a week before then,
You started.
Things that I have to do, get up early, start meditating, pray, whatever, and it's been going very well.
Well done. Can you feel the difference in your business?
Yeah.
Yeah. A table of CEOs, hey? Well done. Number 2, they don't skip role play, skills mastery. They sharpen their scripts, objections, and confidence daily. Because winning is not for amateurs. Every day, be purposeful. What am I learning? How am I dealing with objections? How am I going to deep dive into my market? Guys, I'm a very firm believer. It's not hard to stand out in this industry. If I see what my competition is doing, it shocks me. I had a buyer that phoned me 2 weeks ago looking for a business property. I said, no problem, let me see what I can find. We had a little chat. I phoned someone in a busy street. I said, at what price would you sell your property today? I know I only sold it to you a year and a half ago, but everything's for sale for the right price. And my seller said, Maryke, what's going on in the market? You are the second agent to phone me today. And I said, I'm not sure, but let me find out for you. Maybe there's one or more business person looking. We do have a lot of movement in the area. Then I saw on my Let's Sell It network, agent network group, someone else asking for exactly the same thing. So what my seller also said is, the price was, I would consider 2.5, but if the market is so busy, then I might only consider it 2.7 because I don't want to move, and obviously there's a lot of people after my house. I phoned the buyer back the next morning. I also sent him my bond originator's details. I told him he needs to pre-qual, ask him all the questions, you're a business. Phoned him the next day. I said, how many agents did you speak to? He said, I've opened up a tab with each agent in Garsfontein and I phoned all of them because I'm struggling to find a place. I said, okay, and how many bond originators did you speak to? No, none. You're the only one that asked me to speak to a bond originator. Guys, so what are we doing? We're running after this business that we don't even know is existing because we're desperate for business. Do things properly. I said to him, go back, go decide who you want to work with, come sign a buyer's mandate with me when you're serious with your pre-qualification. I've sold a lot of businesses in the area. You're not going to find this on P24. This is a deal you build and you must know where to go look for it. But if you don't do that, I'm not going to run around and look for places. I'm not going to be the one phoning everyone in the busy streets going, do you want to sell your house? Because that's not how you're going to find your property. And then if it doesn't get back to me, he's busy with his pre-call. But if it doesn't get back to me with a buyer's mandate, I go find someone else. And I think there's a lot of value when you are quiet and you are trying to get go. Look for the low-hanging fruit. But if the buyer is not serious, he's not low-hanging fruit. I picked a different buyer last week who I know was serious, pre-qualified, looked in the agent network, found another agent's listing and had the deal done by Monday. That is low-hanging fruit. You know you're working with serious people on both sides. So number 3 is they don't waste time showing homes. They let buyers, agents and systems do that for them. So pre-qualify your buyers. If you don't have leverage, especially if you have leverage, I think there's a lot of value in having a buyer's agent and being a buyer's agent. To this day, I build my teams in that kind of way because it works if you give everyone a piece of the puzzle to make their main priority. Number 4, they don't do anything else besides outbound advertising for the first 4 hours of each day. That includes direct messages, calls, texts, emails, and content that creates conversations. Posting reels and ads and whatever on Facebook is not content that creates conversation. So don't spend the whole morning on social media and say it's lead generating. If you are not getting leads from it, it's not creating the right conversations. And if it's not lead generation, it does not belong in the morning. And this is the basics for me, for you, and for the top people in the industry. 4 hours every day where you're generating business. Without listings, there's no next step. No next step. If you can't get the listings in, there's nothing else for you to do. Number 5. They do not make fewer than 30 calls a day. Okay, sorry, that was the same one. Sorry, that's part of that. They don't make fewer than 30 calls a day. More conversations, more pipeline, more power. No exceptions. Do you make 30 calls a day? Every single day? Do you have an accountability partner? Do you? My business partner is a horrible accountability partner. I said to him at the beginning of the year, you're way too soft. And I hired an accountability partner out of my business because I knew I need someone that is going to make sure I'm consistent. Otherwise, I'm not going to get the results. So hire someone that will make sure you grow that consistently of sending your numbers. I really think the accountability thing is one of the things we don't realize what a big difference it can make. So do that, even if you have a little group and everyone, it's just about that consistency of sending your numbers and being purposeful about taking note of what you're spending your time on every day. It's easy to be busy in this industry, but busy and busyness is not the same thing. Is it generating business for me, or am I just keeping myself busy? They don't take overpriced listings just to see what happens. They set expectations not to list for attention. I do not know how anyone manages 40 listings on their books and how you're properly doing business if you've got that many listings. 10 good quality listings and good quality mandates are going to go a lot higher. And we're all guilty of this. One of the properties I also listed this month, I walked in, it was listed for 2.95. I took it, I don't usually do enemy stock, but it was in the busy road where I might be needing something for this business guy. I walk in, chatted to them, older people, lived there 44 years, and I said, how many agents are you hiring? And they said, you are the 5th one. I thought I was the 2nd one. Then I explained to them what that means for them advertising on Property 24. And they go, really, Maryke? No one told us this. 5 top people in my area and no one explains to the seller how they're positioning themselves on Property 24. Look how easy it is to stand out. Just be the person that does that. Then after walking through the house, I said, and who did the pricing analysis for you? No one. We just decided we want 2.8 in our pocket, so we went to market for 2.95. Are you kidding me? 5 agents and no one went to do the research and the homework just to help these people where they must position their property. What does the prices look like? What does the market look like? For all we know, they could have gotten more for it. The business premises in the area are doing so well. The place on the corner sold for 4.1 million. I think it was with a going concern, but no one properly informed them. So ask the questions, even if you're the 4th or the 5th person on the listing. And then I tell people, pick 2 people after 2 weeks that have really given you feedback, great service, and kick the rest off. Kick the rest off. Even if I'm one of them, I don't care. Just position yourself properly in the market. You win some, you lose some, but give the right advice. Remember, for them, it's the biggest asset that they have. This is just my job. It's one transaction. One transaction is not going to change my life, but giving the right advice and helping people will always bring you more business down the line. Okay. Yes. Oh, I feel so sorry for them. If someone puts themselves on Axmany Questa, they get like 100 people. That is such a good point, because I always say to people, it breaks my brain. When you buy a new TV, you go research it, you go read the reviews, you go ask your friends what they have. But when you sell your house, you drive down the road and phone someone on a dustbin. You don't interview them properly. You don't ask them what experience, what is their track record. They just go and dive in and hope for the best. And it's our job to educate our market so that they know. I had a call last week and it was so refreshing. My seller said, what is your email address? And I lead generated him. I contacted him in February. And he said, what is your email address? I want to send you an invitation to come and view my property. And I chatted to him and I said, how many agents are you interviewing? And he said, Maryke, we're going to interview 5 or 6 agents, and then we will pick 1 or 2 that we think can sell our house, because I read an article on how important the right pricing is when you go into the market. And I said, don't you want to come train my other sellers? I wish people took it this seriously, but we must train them. And lead generation is part of that. You don't just have to pick up the phone and go, can I sell your house? When you get an article like that, sell it, send it to all your people on WhatsApp. Hey, Mr. Seller, I thought you might find this interesting. If you know they're going to market in 3 to 6 months, then there are a lot of creative ways, I think, that we can stay in contact, but we get quite stuck on the scripts and what it must look like. But the value add, business tech articles, those type of things, I send them to people that I know are coming into the market so that you inform them on what it looks like for them. Then, okay, they don't avoid price reduction conversations. They lean They lean in with courage because that's what leaders do. If you know your market, you interpret it well, and you end up going, you have a motivated seller, but they're still starting here despite you telling them this is where they have to align themselves in the market. If you do this groundwork part well, your sellers price counsel themselves because you have informed them so well what this looks like, how long it's going to take, what the expectation is. Mr. Seller, if I put it in the market and I don't get any inquiries, I know I'm at least 10% overpriced. If I have people through your house and I don't start getting offers, then I know it's at least 5% overpriced. But just bring me an offer. I can't bring you an offer if I don't position you in the market at a space where I can get feed through. If I can get feed through, then at least I can give you feedback and I can possibly give you an offer. And this conversation you have before listing, not after listing. Before I list, I have the conversations, I share the statistics, I put everything in writing, because by the time I need to have the conversation, they already know. Then this is not new news. This is not a massive shock. This is I told you this is what it looks like. Oh, yes, we were expecting it. And this is an interesting emotional, like psychological thing with the renovations that we do. My business partner has a conversation with people before because they renovate for people as well. So it's the whole house gets ripped apart, dust everywhere, and he has the conversation before he starts the renovation. He says, 5 to 6 weeks in, you are going to phone me. You are going to be tired of the dust. You and your husband are going to fight, and you are going to find these nitty-gritty things, and you're going to start saying that I'm not doing my job, and this one is late, and you're going to nitpick at these things. And I want to warn you, because it is a frustrating process. Klok, slag. 5 to 6 weeks into a renovation, he gets the call, this is happening, that is happening, and then he says, do you remember we had this conversation before we started the renovation? Oh, yes, okay, we're there. Okay, take a step back, take a deep breath, and then it completely diffuses the situation because we need to prep people here what the journey is going to look like, not just list and leave. Then the last one is they don't answer their phone after 5 p.m. They control their time. They don't run a 24/7 real estate hotline. Schedule downtime. We've become addicted to being available all the time. If someone tells me they want to see me tomorrow morning at 10, I tell them, sorry, I have another appointment. I do, with lead generating for my business. If they really can't make it any other time, I will do it there, but I will replace. Everyone that knows me knows you will not get hold of me on a Sunday afternoon. It's highly unlikely because, guys, iPhone's got a feature that I discovered yesterday where it tells you how many times a day you pick up your phone. Some days it's 420 times. My average is just under 200. How crazy is that? And yes, we must be available. And yes, if it's an open mandate, they're going to phone the second agent on the listing. But you must compartmentalize your life in this industry. We live, eat, sleep, dream real estate. Have a time when you go, this is my time. Mine is a Sunday afternoon. My kids know I schedule as much as I can around what they have and what they need to do. But don't always be available. Try and set. I tell my clients I have an appointment on Sunday afternoon. They don't need to know what the appointment is. If we really can't make it work, you make a plan, but recharge. Make sure you make a little bit of time for yourself.
What do you do if you walk into like a dividend listing and 5 other agents are on it, but you know that they are overpriced? What do you do then to try and bring them back and stay?
So they don't want to hear that, number one.
So they'll be like, okay, you're out.
We're already there. No, I listed at that price, but what I realized is, especially with those listings, the other agents don't go do a proper market analysis. And I go do a very detailed market analysis, and I motivate. And I don't tell them what price. I just show them where they're positioning themselves in the market. So I still send that email. I send all the statistics. And especially if it's analytical people or more detailed people, they will have a look at it. And it's never wasted because they might not have a great experience with their agent and still refer me, or I am just doing a deep dive into what that section of the market looks like today. So I never see it as something that I still do it. And I realized that because I had another property where the lady just had 4 agents come in and do a market analysis, and the main bedroom's floor was sinking in and the whole wall was cracking. All the agents told them they could get 1.3, 1.4 for their property. Out of all 4 agents, of which we were one, no one sent a market analysis. The lady said to me afterwards, Maryke, you're the only one that after you left sent an email, explained to me what's going on in the market, what's going on with the pricing. And
It's actually a lost opportunity, right? Because you'd probably be the only one actually sending a market analysis saying, I've been there, thank you for the time, this is what I saw, I walked through.
exactly, do what the other people are not doing. It's not hard to stand out in this industry. And we walked out of there going, what are we missing? Because the house is worth at least 1.7 and their expectation was 1.7. But the amount of work they needed to do was 100 to 150,000. And maybe I said because Henny renovates, I said to him, you don't think this problem is so big because you understand the problem. The normal buyer that walks in there and the people selling the house want to start hyperventilating when they see this floor falling in. But we know how to solve the problem. And we ended up, without going to market, just touching the right buyers and getting 2 offers of 1.7 and 1.83. And despite that, this is the lady that withdrew from the market and decided to renovate. But I do know I will get repeat business from her. When she's ready, she will definitely come back to me, because not only did she see how dedicated we are, we found them a lot of other places to look at that they actually really considered. So that business, play the long game, guys. You're going to lose the listing and the deal today, and you're either up or you're getting up. You don't lie down. You get up, you go on, and you stay in contact and you keep that relationship, because that becomes your best business. Some of my best referral clients have never bought or sold a property to me. I just viewed properties with them. But just doing that little bit of extra, like if you don't have business, go follow up all your buyers of the last 6 months. People are like, thank you. You are the only person that ever phoned me back.